Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today I have a very special surprise for you guys. The aircraft in front of us is the aircraft we will be reviewing. This is the B-2 Spirit by KwikFlight. Earlier today I was at work rebooting my computer, checking my email on my phone, and I saw that iniBuilds sent me an email saying, hey, we got this new aircraft. So I got home, went on their iniBuilds manager on my computer and saw it was only $13.99 in pounds, which for the rest of us Americans on the channel, that's like 20 bucks. I'm like, for 20 bucks, I'll give it a try. And it also filled the content gap that I was struggling to come up with for what to make a video on this week. So it worked out really well. So I downloaded the aircraft, had dinner, and waited a little bit, played with my kid, and then here we are. So without further ado, let's go ahead, take a walk around the aircraft, and see what we get. Okay, so here we are at roughly human level. I found a ramper over there somewhere and made it to his height. And so we'll start off by acting as if we were just coming up to the aircraft. So our ramp is down, and we'll go ahead and start from the front, work our way, let's see, that would be clockwise around the airplane and back to the ramp. So looking here, we have the landing gear. Tires have some dirt and rust on them, show some wear. Going up the gear, looks like it's been used. And then we get into the gear bay. Looks pretty clean in here. We got some nice links. We can see some writing on the outside of the aircraft. And overall, looks pretty well detailed. We do have some additional detailing on the gear door there. We can see how everything's angled to be, I guess, stealthy. Coming along to the front, we got some nice reflections and detailings on the windshield. Once again, we can read everything that's on the front of the aircraft, including those saying warning, hot, so that's a nice touch. And the detailing overall looks nice. It looks like there's some dirt and grime. You can see the contours and just the gentle curves around the whole wing, even going all the way down to the wingtip. Coming around to, we'll do the bomb bay last. Coming around to the main landing gear, we still get some nice detailing. You can see we got some wires there. Got the struts that open and close the doors. All the struts for the gear, along with additional wiring. Got some lights there. We still see some nice dirt and grime going around the main gears and where the brakes would be. We can read that these are Goodyear tires and they're aircraft ribbed. They're R40s by 14s. Looks like it's an S19. So you got great detailing around the wheels and around the gear overall. Really can't complain. Looks nice. It's pretty good on the frames. And then as we come around the gear door, I did decide to go with this nice bright orange stealth livery, because everyone knows orange is the perfect color if you want to not be seen. This aircraft does come with a couple other liveries, which I'll go over at the end of the video, if you're curious. And I did also fail to mention, but we are at the airport which must not be named in Nevada, just outside of Las Vegas, if that gives any clue on where we are. And going around the outside here, once again we got some nice details, really crisp points there. We can actually see our lights sticking out because we're not in stealth mode. So we got visible lights on the wingtips, that way people can see us. Then going down we can see what should be the flaps and the ailerons hanging down because we don't have any hydraulic pressure yet. And overall, just got really nice detailing. Like we can read all the lettering as we go down the side of the aircraft with different numbers on them. See that the gear door says 1 mission. And we do have this nice little camouflage paint scheme. Come around the back of the aircraft. It is exactly the same. If we back up, we can actually see to the rear of the engine. And going down into it. Also gives us the chance to take a look at the top of the aircraft. And just see that everything else is nicely modeled up there as well. So then coming down, back to kind of human level. Just continuing to walk around the aircraft. Everything's modeled very nicely. And we'll speed it up so that way we can get to the bomb bays, because I'm sure everyone wants to go ahead and take a look at that. Because this side is pretty much identical to the other side, and it helps that it is just one giant blended wing. So then we'll skip around to the front of the aircraft just to take a look at the top of it. So we do have some nice modeling going in and looking at the cockpit from the outside. And the window has some details. We can see 2 pilots in there all suited up, ready to go. We get a lot of nice lettering and detailing up here. We can kind of see into where the air goes for the engines. It's pretty dark though. And we can also read that the aircraft contains an emergency escape system with explosive cartridges. We can read everything nicely up here. What is nice is up here at the very top, I want to say it's right there right in front of us. This guy right here is actually for the mid-air refueling, and there's a switch in the cabin that we can flip and it will open that up. There we go, now we can kind of see into the engines from up here. We got our APU doors open, which that is a error or bug I found with the aircraft. The APUs say they're running, both 1 and 2 are on. I started them, the screens say they're on, the doors are open like they're on, but we don't hear them on the outside. So far that's the only bug I found, but just firing up the APU and opening up all the doors is as far as I've gotten with this aircraft. I have not flown it yet, so we're going to fly it for the first time together. We can see that this B-2 bomber belongs to the U.S. Air Force. It's number 920,700, and it takes JP-8 fuel. So coming into the bomb bays, it is very nicely modeled. We've got this kind of revolver style spinning wheel to drop all of the bombs. And I was trying to figure out how to do the weight and balance because I didn't find it very easy to load up the aircraft. It's like a default airplane, and I wanted to try and be realistic. So I was able to actually get it up in here real nice and close. Now we can hear some noise. I was able to get nice, real close up here and find out these are Mark 82 JDAMs. And so I did a quick Google search on what a Mark 82 weighs, and I was told in its, I guess, initial payload where you attach it to the airplane, it's anywhere between 510 and 570 pounds. So I zoomed in up top, cut through some things, and found out there's 8 right here, 8 right there. And if we go over into this bomb bay, there's 8 right here and 8 right here for a total of 32. So I did some quick math, found out that's roughly 9,000 pounds a side, and I loaded that up in the weight and balance manager. Which to do that, I just came right in here to the normal flight sim weight and balance. And just gave ourselves 50% fuel, put in some realistic numbers for our pilots, and then 9,120 pounds in the right cargo bay, 9,120 pounds in the left cargo bay. Main cargo bay, I have no clue where that is, so I just left it empty. And so with that, we'll go ahead and hop into the aircraft, which I'll see if we can just climb right up this way. Yep, and we can. So it won't be as nice, but we'll hop into the cockpit momentarily. So this is the view once you're inside the aircraft. And so now we will go ahead and take a seat in the pilot seat, get it fired up, and go for a flight. Alright, so here we are inside of the flight deck for the B-2 Spirit by KwikFlight. And give me just 1 second to pull up our checklist. The aircraft, if you find it in your community folder, does come with a quick reference checklist and a 46-page manual. It's pretty much bare bones for both of them, but it does have some decent information about the aircraft. For those of you that are looking for like a hardcore study level B-2 bomber, this is not the one for you. It's fairly basic, and not all the buttons work, not all the switches work, but we do have a decent basic B-2 bomber. So we already did our preliminary cockpit checks, which are the fuel panel switches are all set to horizontal. That's these guys right here. After that, it is the main battery switch would be set to off, which that's this one right here. It's on right now because we've already done this. Your throttle levers, which are right here and right here, should be in the idle position. Landing gear should be down because we're on the ground. And that's right there. The parking brake is set. Your parking brake's right here, but it's not like lit up, but if I do my hotkey, we can see brakes off, brakes on. That's how I verified it, since there's not an illuminated light that shows us that. Then our engine generator switches should be in the off and down position. That's these guys right here. They are in the down position. Bleed air should be set to off, which bleed air is these guys right here. They're not illuminated, so I'm assuming they're off. And then our cabin packs, which are right here, should be off as well. Then for our cockpit preparation, we went ahead and flipped the battery master to on. External power did not light up, so it is in the off position. Internal lights are not required. And now we can do our CDU, which this is fairly basic. Like see sat C, not op, not like a button we can pick. We can hit comm, our perf, weapons doesn't load, index doesn't load, RNAV doesn't load, nav loads, then IFF doesn't load, flight plan loads, no power, no SPC, and then we got buttons here to go over some additional stuff if you need it. This does seem to update automatically as you change things in the payload manager up here through the default flight sim controls. So for our flight plan today, we will do KTXA, which is where we are. I'm pretty sure that's the code for the airport, which must not be named. Sure is. And then we'll say we're going to go to Vegas, but we're not actually going to go to Vegas. Let's see. That did not take it. Stand by as I consult the manual. Okay, everybody. So, found another thing. Once again, not a study level airplane. I consulted page number 34 of the manual, and it states the flight plan page will display the current plan route of the aircraft taken from the Microsoft Flight Simulator screen. The flight plan cannot be entered manually. If no valid flight plan has been received from the sim, you'll get no flight plan activated. So, we'll just wing it. But that's okay. I was just going to have it to have a nice pretty picture loaded up in the sim. But that's okay, so I'll skip that. And so that's pretty much everything on this. You get a very basic FMS, which is actually more basic than I thought it would be. And there's a direct to page, but you actually need to have a flight plan to use the direct to portion of it. And then we do have a very basic autopilot, but I'm actually getting ahead of myself for going through the checklist first. So let's go back to our QRC. And let's see. So CDU is as set up as we're going to get it. Our fuel quantity has already been checked. I went into the perf, verified all this with the information we had in our weight and balance, which we can also click on fuel and see everything here as well. Which, if we take a look, these should hopefully display accurately. This says we have 70,000 pounds of fuel, so it's already not looking that great. Let's see here. So 904, 904. And let's see. 1616 is about 30, so that's okay. 30,000, 30,000 for a total of 70. I don't know what TOT means then. Okay, so that is displaying correctly. So our fuel quantities have been checked, and takeoff briefing is pretty much we'll go over it as we're flying, because we don't really have much of a plan for this other than we're going to do a quick flight, test it out, and then land. So going into before start, we do have APU1 and APU2 have been touched as start, and we can see APU running and APU2 running. So they are up and running. So now we're going to go ahead and close our bomb bays, or I guess I should say our cargo bays. So those are closing, and we want to go ahead and close the door that let us into the cockpit. So we'll hit this one right here. So those are all closed up now. So now we're going to go ahead and turn the beacon lights to on, which those should be up here actually. Beacon lights are on, and we'll turn the nav lights on as well. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to engine start switch number 1 and hit 1. And we should see that our N1 starts coming up above 18. So there's N1. We see N2 rising. So we're still waiting for N1 to rise. Okay, that's gone up. That's probably a good sign. Okay, here's N1 now. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then let's actually see, are we seeing that on here? Yep. So there's N1 and N2, so N2 is up to 11. Correction, N1's up to 12 now. 13, 14, 15, excuse me, 17, and it's above 18. So now go ahead, start number 2. Same process, just click engine start. So we see N2 for number 2 coming alive. We're still showing that engine 1 bleed is off. That's okay, we'll wait to get the other engines up first. And so now that that one's coming up through 15, we'll go ahead and continue on with our checklist, which actually just drops us down straight to landing. So what we'll go ahead and do is, we're above 18 there on our N1, so we'll go ahead and flip the generators on. And we will kill our APU, so we got to come up here and hit APU stop and APU stop. And now we'll get our engine bleed airs on, which ground power, I just showed you guys where this is. I should know where it is. There they are. So engine 1, engine 2, engine 3, engine 4. So then we just need to turn our packs on, and we should be ready to rock and roll. Okay, so here we are rolling out to the runway, should be runway 32 here at Area 51. I did go ahead and set our altitude for 25,000 feet. Here's your altitude controls, and it's a little knob. You gotta turn left and right. To the right is up, to the left is down. I'm assuming vertical speed operates the same. Heading select's right here, course select is right there as well. So now that we're coming out onto the runway, we're going to flip the landing lights to on, and I don't think we have a strobe light option, do we? Yes, we do. So strobe lights are on as well. Now we'll just do our best to line it up nice and easy. Then we'll go ahead and hold the brakes down. Make sure our heading is lined up. We'll tell the aircraft to plan on a heading hold, so we see heading is lit up in green. When we want altitude selected, it'll light up right there. Autopilot engaged is also right there. We'll go over these screens in a little bit. Let's just check our altimeter. And so with that, I believe we're ready for takeoff. I have not flown this before, so I can't guarantee this is going to go very well. But let's go ahead and do it. So let's bring the throttle up right now. Let's aim for about right there. Just make sure everything's stable. Then now we'll go ahead and bring it up all the way. And it is loud, that's for sure. So for rotation, we're looking about 153 according to the CDU. So we're rolling through 75 right now. There's 105. I guess that's our ground speed. Need to be looking right here. There's 130. And there's 150. So let's bring it back, rotate. And it's looking like we have a positive rate, so gear up. I'm going to bring the throttles down to the bottom of the yellow arc just so it's caution, landing gear up. I know, we want the landing gear up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to continue on our heading. And let's see if we can get autopilot to maintain just this, what we're doing right now. It doesn't look like it will. Let's see. I'm not sure how the vertical speed control works. So let's just see if we can trim it to maintain this. And we can. So we're doing 300 right now, so we're going to climb pretty fast. I don't have anything else for the checklist, so we're just going to go ahead and climb up to cruise, and we'll talk about some other features once we get up to cruising altitude. Alright everyone, so I got us up to our cruising altitude of 25,000 feet. I did find out to control the vertical speed you have to have the altitude turned on, reselect your altitude, and then you can adjust the vertical speed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go over some of the screen options you have here for the B-2 Spirit. I did turn down these sound effects because I don't know how it's going to play out in the video, but this thing is absurdly loud and it will probably give someone tinnitus, and that's not what I'm trying to do. So we'll start here. We have 4 screens directly in front of the pilot and co-pilot with one in the middle. So looking right here, we're currently on FCH, which is like our flight control page. And we have like a stats page. That is actually this screen over here. But let's go ahead and start with map. So map, as you see, we have a moving map. There is Area 51 where we took off from. And it's actually just below our nose right there. So then going from there, we have ECS, which shows us this. I honestly couldn't tell you what ECS means. Then we have our fuel page, so we can keep eyes out on how we're doing fuel-wise. Flight controls, which then we can check our hydraulic system as well. And we have our engine gauge. Going on from there, we have the menu, where we can go into nav, which is this screen, but right up here. We can go ahead and throw in some tax. Localizer, which is inoperative, or the ILS if we wish. We can switch to an STC, which is also inoperative. Then we got a quick way back up to our engine, hydraulics, and flight control pages. One of the cool things we can do, if I can remember how to get there, is through here. This is kind of like I think of it as like almost kind of like a bomb site page. We can actually see directly below the aircraft and our distance to ground. The weapon page is inoperative. We do have a radar page. Then we have kind of like a synthetic vision page. And going through here, we have more options that just don't work. So one of the cool things about this aircraft, which we'll go ahead and go to the bomb site page real quick, is if you look right here, we can see ready for release. And give me 1 second and I will show you what that does. Alright, so I got the outside camera set up, so hopefully it shouldn't give any of my headphone users tinnitus with how loud this thing is. Well, we see ready for release, so that's in relation to the weapons we have underneath the aircraft. So if we look over here, our air-to-ground strike procedure, and we have conditions required. The first condition is that we are above 20,000 feet and doing 230 knots. We're at 25,000 doing 299. So that is checked. Our wings are level. Then we have verified that ready for release is set. So now we want to go ahead and open the bomb bays, which is this button right here. And headphone users beware, I am going to hop outside once we flip the switch. So now you can see the bomb bays are opening. And now they are all the way open. So we're going to hop back inside. And the next condition is that we press the weapon fire to release all. And weapon fire is right here, which once again, as soon as we press the button, we're going to hop outside and watch the payload fall. And now you can see we have released our payload. So now we have to set the bomb base back to closed. And then we're going to go ahead and deviate from this heading as if we were striking a target, and now we want to get out of town. So we're going to deviate from our heading, and we're also going to increase power to get out of here. So I do like the fact you can kind of simulate dropping bombs. That is a really cool feature of this aircraft. We also have the stealth mode, which I forgot to go over, but we'll go ahead and shimmy over. And if we take a look, right there on our wingtip, that's our lights. So if we click stealth mode, we can see the lights retracted. And to activate stealth mode, we just have to be above 3,000 feet, and we also get an indicator here saying stealth mode is activated. And otherwise, that's pretty much all the features of this aircraft. Like I talked about, it is kind of a basic aircraft. It's definitely not study level, so if that's what you're going for, probably not the best choice for you. But it is still a really cool airplane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get us down so that way we can land at Area 51, Groom Lake, and we'll go from there. Okay everyone, so I was going to bring it in to land, but I figured what would a review be if we didn't talk about the flight dynamics and handling of the aircraft? Especially since this aircraft has such a unique design where it's pretty much just a flying wing. So I saw this little canyon valley here and figured we would do a little bit of a run through the valley before we land back at Groom Lake. One thing I did notice on takeoff is this thing flies, man. It wants to climb. We got up to 25,000 feet in no time. Like I want to say maybe a minute after I ended the video, after takeoff, we were up pretty much at 25,000 feet. This thing flies, man. It does not... It doesn't want to fly. So right now, we're going to get down low. Since we are going to get pretty low to the terrain, I did turn stealth mode off, because below 3,000 feet, you have to have it off. And we're going to keep our speed up. I did change our display so we have our map, so we can just have a general idea of where we are, and also our synthetic vision up as well. So now... it flies pretty much, I'd say, kind of like a fighter jet. It's very responsive on the controls. So if we bank it left, she banks left. In a second, we'll bank it right. So there, now we'll start banking it right. Banks right. Up and down's pretty good. Obviously, I've never flown anything like this. We do weigh close to 250,000 pounds was how I had it configured. And I would say it flies very light on the controls, but I feel like this kind of aircraft is probably meant to fly very similar to that of like a high performance jet. I imagine it's not meant to feel heavy. I feel like it's meant to feel slick and maneuverable just based on how the aircraft looks and the fact it's, to me, it seems like just a really, like, I guess, high-performance bomber that's designed to pretty much be invisible on radar. So I feel like it flies as I would expect it to. It's very light on the controls, very nimble. It's very fast. And so it's all things I guess I would expect from a stealth bomber. I'd be curious to see how it would compare to like a B-1. So a Lancer. I'd love to see someone make one of those. That would definitely be on my purchase list. Those things are cool. So now we're going to go ahead and increase the power up to 75% on the N1. And we're going to take it through this valley, do a little bit of a run. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and climb and just kind of go over the climb performance. See if we can't stall it in the climb, just to get an idea of what this thing's like when you stall it. Which I'm sure is not ideal. So here we are coming through the valley. We're doing almost 400 miles an hour over the ground, so we'll be a little bit preemptive on our turns. But as we can see, it handles really nicely. Cannot complain at all about how it handles. It's nice and smooth on the controls. It turns when you want it to. It really doesn't feel delayed. It feels like as soon as I give it an input, we are doing that input. And right now, if we look down at our display, we're only doing about 1.3 Gs. And so it's very nimble on the controls. Like I said, it flies, I guess, how I would expect it to fly. So now as we come over that ridge line, we'll aim for the mountain here. And we're still doing about 380. So now we'll go ahead and pull it back nice and gentle, doing a little over 2 Gs. And As you can see, at just a little under 75%, we're climbing fast. Like, we maxed out our vertical speed gauge over here. It's just showing us 3,000, nothing else. And we're still managing over 200. We're starting to slow down. But pretty much right there, about 12 degrees. We're keeping up pretty good with our airspeed. And we're still climbing. We're already at almost 10,000 feet. And we're barely shedding speed now. So what I will do, I do want to see how it performs when it stalls. So we'll go ahead and give it a little bit of trim, and we'll just pull the power back and maintain about 15 degrees here. So power's all the way back at idle. We can see speeds come down real fast. In case you don't know, our speed's right here and also right here. So we can see we're dropping speed very fast. So we're just going to try our best to hold it as close to 15 as we can. There's 140. I feel like we should fall at the sky any time now. I mean, we did drop all of our bombs, so we're probably actually pretty light for this aircraft. So we're getting a stall buffet, and there goes the left side. Pitch down. Still haven't gained aileron control. There it is. So we got level back out. And there we are. So pretty easy stall characteristics. I imagine this kind of aircraft being just one giant wing probably is fairly gentle in the stall. I would say, once again, it's as expected. I don't expect it to be like a Cessna 172, but I guess with all the computers that are needed to actually make this thing fly, it handles as I would expect something as advanced as this aircraft is. Expected to handle like it should. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and take it back to Groom Lake, and I'll see you guys as we get close. Alright, so we're now coming up on our top secret landing facility, so I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to our engine gauges. We'll leave that on the kind of navigation screen, and we'll leave that on map. First, we'll just verify our fuel load, make sure everything's still looking good, which it is. And our flight controls, everything looks good there. I believe this aircraft does not have flaps, so we're just going to kind of wing it for our approach speed. We know our V2 was 160, so we'll probably aim for about 180 coming into land. So we're only going to slow down about 28 knots. And then going through our landing checklist, because we will be landing to the north, and we can already see our approach lights right there. Landing checklist is real simple. We want to make sure stealth mode is off. Landing lights are on. Landing gear we'll want to put down, but we do want to go ahead and arm our spoilers. And so we'll slow down just a little bit more before we drop the gear, because I want to slow down and get lined up with the runway. So as we take this time, I'll go ahead and kind of give you my final opinion on the aircraft before we crash it into a fiery wreck here at Groom Lake. Overall, I think for the price, right about 20 American dollars with today's exchange rates, I would say it's not a bad aircraft. It does have some bugs. Like we saw, the APU doesn't make any noise from the outside. It's also extremely loud. I wish we could tone down the sounds a little. I did have to pretty much take my headphones off at parts of this recording just because of how loud it is, even in the cockpit. So I'll probably just have to turn my PC volume down as well. Then, you know, it's a very simple airplane, which for me is not really a negative thing. I'm not looking for something super complicated, just because I'm not looking to learn the inner workings of a B-2 bomber. So I'm not looking for the quote-unquote study level kind of airplane, so I wouldn't call that a negative. Some of you guys might consider it a negative. I am a little disappointed that I can't enter my own flight plan directly into the computer, because that is how I like to do it. So we do have gear coming down now that we're under 200. I wish I could enter the... Okay, that was an odd sound, but I guess that's our gear coming down now. Or that it is down, not sure to be exactly. But we heard some interesting sounds there. So I do wish there was a little bit better, I guess more depth to the CDU. I wish I could actually just type in my flight plan, because I don't like planning it out in the actual flight simulator itself. I like doing it. Other than that, it flies, I would say, like a fly-by-wire aircraft. It's very easy to control, very maneuverable. It's fun to fly, that's for sure. I'm looking forward to flying this some more. And overall, for the price, for like $18 to $20 American dollars, that is, I guess I can't like not recommend it. I think it has some bugs, but it did just come out like not even 24 hours ago. So to be expected. We'll see if they actually update it to address some of the minor issues. Maybe they'll add some more features as time goes on, not sure. But overall, for myself at least, I would recommend it. I did buy it. I did recommend it to myself. But I'd probably buy it again. I'm not sure how much I'll fly it, but I'm definitely looking forward to getting some more time in it, learning the aircraft a little bit better. And so now we'll just kind of ease out of our throttle and hopefully not overrun the runway. Oh, and my Xbox controller is going off. Then let's see, is there reverse thrust on this? Does not appear to be, but we do have our spoilers out. So as we come to a stop, let's go ahead and check our after landing checklist, which is landing lights go off, taxi lights on, spoilers off, and we fire up the APUs. So go ahead, turn the spoilers off, click APU left start, APU right start. We'll get this back up to the systems page if I can find it. ECS? Nope. Engine, wow, where's the page I want? I found it earlier. And now I won't be able to find it because that's my luck. Because I'm trying to show off here. Let's see. Stats. What if I get rid of that? There we go. That's the one I'm looking for. Still says speed brake on. There we go. Speed brake is off. APUs are on. Landing lights can go off. Then our strobes can go off as well. Strobes off. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go taxi it to parking. I'll shut down the engines, leave the APUs on, and we'll go over the lights, go over the refueling port for mid-air refueling, and check out the liveries, and then we will call it a day. Okay, so I did get us parked at a gate. There's a 737 for size reference. Then I did say we'd go over the mid-air refueling port, so if we come right down here underneath this screen to our fuel panel, we can see our aerial refueling kind of knob here, which if we hop outside, if we pay attention to right here on the aircraft, when we flip this to the open position, we can actually see it turn and flip over, and then if we close it and hop outside, you can see right there it's shut again. So now to go over the lights, we can see right on top there's a little red beacon light. Then coming down here, we can see our landing lights as well. So now I'll switch it to nighttime. And let's go dark. So there we go. So we got some really nice bright landing lights. Now we can actually see that beacon up top a little better. And we can see the strobe and navigation lights on the side as well. And stealth mode won't activate because we're too low on the ground, but we'll see if it will do something. Stealth mode, yeah, it won't even switch into place because we're on the ground. So then here is the inside of the cabin. For whatever reason, we got a little spotlight on. But this is what the cabin looks like. Let's see if I turn on some inside lights, if that'll make that go away. Yep. It's kind of what the inside looks like at night. And we do have switches to control the brightness of all the lights. So our floodlights, Let's see, there's our avionics backlights. So that way you can actually fly it at night and see what you're doing. So here we are in the hangar. This is the configuration and livery that we just flew, the nice stealthy bright orange one. So coming with it, we have these paint schemes right here. First you have kind of just a standard looking Air Force One. It's gray, nothing too fancy. Looks like pretty much just a standard Air Force One. It's black, looks pretty legitimate to me. Granted, I've never really seen one, so I've only seen pictures, but it looks pretty good. Then we have the Bronze Tiger, which is about what you would expect. It is orange and black, kind of tiger striped, and it's got like some tiger claws going down the side of it. Unfortunately, I can't like give you a good view because it's grayed out right here, so we just get the kind of live cutscene-y one. And so, switching back to the rest, you can see a tiger eye there on the wings actually. We have the Candy King Knight, which as you would expect is red and white. So, pretty neat looking aircraft. Definitely stealthy with those red and white stripes. We have the KwikFlight livery. It's just nice white, got some kind of candy striping down it. Got the KwikFlight logo on the wing. Then we have the Venom Viper, which this one's actually a pretty neat looking one too, actually. I like kind of the yellow outlining on it and like the scales. That looks nice. Even got yellow Air Force markings, says Air Force right there, it has a number on it. We see an Air Force logo as well. This one's pretty cool actually. Then we have the Orange Lion, which is the one we flew in this video. And then we ended out with the Soaring Eagle. Got a nice Screaming Eagle on the side of it. Got some more US Air Force markings as well. And at least before I made this video, there was at least one paint scheme on FlightSim.to for this aircraft already. So with that, overall, I would say it's a very basic aircraft. So for you people wanting a like really in-depth study level aircraft, probably not the best one for you. We'll see if they update it. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Which if they do update it, maybe they'll raise the price. Maybe they won't. Don't know these days. But as of right now, I know there's at least the sound issue with the APU on the outside of the aircraft. Then there's just a couple like little minor things, like, you know, you can't put in a flight plan in the CDU. I don't know if they'll ever change that, so you got to do it all from the actual sim page. Trying to think of anything else that's really like a negative. Oh, it's fun to fly. Fun to fly. Pretty basic, which is nice enough for me because I'm not looking to learn a bunch of systems. Overall, I think it's fairly priced. You know, right about $18, $20. It's not terribly expensive. It's not like a $5 giveaway airplane either. I think it's a pretty fair price for what you're getting. A couple quirks they could work out here and there. It'd be cool if we get like a little iPad or something that lets you pick, I want Mark 84 JDAMs, or I want like a bunch of little 500-pound bombs. That would be cool. Right now we just get the weight and balance system where you kind of just got to wing it, like what I went over at the beginning of the video. So, you know, just some little touches here, but overall it's a pretty cheap airplane, so we're not expecting like, say, a $60 airplane level of features and systems. And I think for what they gave us, it's a fair price. So if you want like a B-2 bomber, because maybe you're really into like the virtual Air Force or stuff like that, I think it's fairly priced. I think it would be a great addition to your fleet if that's what you're looking for. I'm looking forward to putting some more time on it, seeing what this aircraft has to offer. And so with that, thanks for watching my video. I'm glad you stopped by the channel. Check out some of my other videos. And until next time, stay classy, and I will talk to you guys later.